Dele Farotimi is back home after his ordeal in Ekiti State, and he's not apologetic to anyone. In fact, he's defiant. He wrote this on his verified X handle. The summary of what he wrote is that they can't do anything to a fearless person. He has always said this in many of his videos, that the kind of job he does, the kind of activism, is not something someone that fears death does. And he's also aware that they might make an attempt on his life. They've done that many times already. Despite knowing all this, he still speaks truth to power. And like you already know, most of all he said in his book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System, have all played out by all the actors, from the Ekiti Magistrate Court to the Federal High Court in Ekiti State. All the actors, including Are, Babalola and co, all the people working with him, his partners in his chambers, they've all played out exactly the way he wrote it in the book. So in the court of public opinion, he is right. He has defeated all his traducers. It remains the court of justice, where they have charged him in more than 6 courts. Obviously, his first step will be to challenge the jurisdiction of the Ekiti State Magistrate Court, because the charge or crime for which he was brought there no longer exists in Ekiti State. The court shouldn't have entertained the matter in the first place. If the court refuses to strike off the matter because they don't have jurisdiction, then his team will need to approach another court to decide on the matter. Definitely another court will strike off the matter from the magistrate court because they don't have jurisdiction. All this they are doing, they are exposing themselves. They don't know they are the ones on trial. And when that is done, all the stringent bail conditions will have been removed, including preventing him from speaking to the press. Of course, this looks like their ultimate aim. All that they are doing are just camouflage. Their intention seems to be to stop him from speaking freely. Yes, with that condition, he cannot grant interviews, he cannot speak as he wants, so this stops him from exposing them further through the media. Although he will get the opportunity to expose them further in the civil courts, but it doesn't look like he will have that opportunity because they are not interested in the courts getting to the root of the matter. That's bringing Dele Farotimi to prove that he truly did not defame anyone in his book. This is because the way they are going, the way they are obtaining injunctions and motions from the courts, they are interested in grabbing what they can grab from him, like the court in Abuja ordering the publishers of his book to remit royalties to them instead of to Dele Farotimi. It shows that they are not interested in going further because this will expose them more than the book already did.
Hello everybody. We heard what is going on over the comments.
Anyway, talking about civil case, a disbarred lawyer who now lives in the United States and no longer practices law in Nigeria has vowed to testify against Are Babalola in any civil court where they charge Dele Farotimi because of his experience with him. Sharing about the experience with Babalola on social media, he talked about a lady who had a problem with her husband, and her husband happened to be a lecturer at Babalola University. How the lady took the kids and ran to Port Harcourt and filed a court case against her husband, how Babalola became involved and he involved the police into the civil matter, how the police stormed Port Harcourt and forcefully took away her kids and brought them back to Ekiti State. Despite all the court orders and summons, Babalola involved the police in a civil matter. Part of his statements read, quote, "For those who don't understand the issues at stake in his book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System, Farotimi stated that Babalola had exerted some corrupting influence over the Nigerian judiciary. That assertion is a candid opinion based on facts. It is true as to Babalola and as to the Nigerian judiciary. The only thing surprising in all this is the fact that Farotimi had the courage to say it in a book. From one incident involving Babalola that I am aware of, I easily came to the same conclusion as Farotimi. I encountered the power and influence of Babalola. He possesses no doubt a pervasive and probably corrupt influence over the judiciary and the police. In that case, I realized how impossible it would be for me to confront the man because I could see that the police and the courts will not be fair or just in any matter in which the man's name was mentioned. I was left with the impression that if Afe Babalola had an interest in any matter, the Nigerian justice system was as good as a jungle justice system. It was an extensive influence by one man over the whole system of justice, which clearly undermined any notion that the courts are the last hope of an ordinary man. If you wonder about the encounter I am speaking about, it has to do with a case of domestic violence and child custody dispute between one Dr. Nnamdi Ikpeze and his wife Florence. Dr. Ikpeze is a law lecturer in Afe Babalola University. He had a dispute with his wife Florence, which resulted in the wife fleeing from Ekiti to Port Harcourt with the 3 minor children. Her reason for fleeing was to escape domestic violence. She had reported the incident of domestic violence to DPA before she moved to Port Harcourt. She contacted us again months later and reported an ongoing police arrest incident. What happened was that she had filed a petition for custody at the magistrate court in Port Harcourt. It was a petition against her husband, Dr. Ikpeze. The case was ongoing and the processes had been served on the husband, including a hearing notice. Instead of Dr. Ikpeze responding to the court in Port Harcourt, he went to Afe Babalola, who apparently took his side and decided to protect him from having to respond to the court in Port Harcourt. Instead of appearing in court with the backing of Afe Babalola, Dr. Ikpeze procured the police from Ekiti Command to drive all the way to Port Harcourt to arrest Florence and their 3 children and Florence's sister. They were taken all the way from Port Harcourt to Ekiti State, where the police simply handed the children over to Dr. Ikpeze, while Florence was held at the police station. DPA sent letters to the police demanding due process for the lady. The next day, police made it clear that the parties should go to Baba, who would adjudicate the matter. It was clear that the police was acting under the instruction of Baba. The Baba was Afe Babalola. They treated him like God. It is always dangerous when a man plays God. We learned that the mother of Dr. Ikpeze was also a lawyer who happened to be the dean of the law faculty at Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Afe Babalola, without consideration of the law or the facts of the case, took the side of Dr. Ikpeze. By the way, my letters on the matter were presented to Babalola. Dr. Ikpeze and his mother were busy telling Babalola all manner of lies against my person, unquote. Going by what Ugonye said, you will see the level of corruption. He got the police from Ekiti State. They went all the way to Port Harcourt despite the matter being in court. They brought them to Ekiti State and told them to go and settle with Baba, that Baba would decide what happens, as if he's the court, as if he's a judge. Mind you, the matter was already in court before he decided to step in. So you can understand what we are talking about here. If a single individual can have this kind of powers to control the police, the judges, the entire judiciary, you see we have a problem. When some lawyers boast arrogantly that they never lose a case, or they tell you to your face that you will lose, there's a reason they're doing that. Because they have the judges in their pocket, or something has passed under the table. It's only in Nigeria that people will tell you, hey, you will not win this, or you have won this. And at the end of the day, it will become real because they rig election, they control all the apparatus of state, INEC, police, the army. They pull all the strings behind the scenes. That's why they can boldly tell you you will not win an election, or that you will never win this, or that you will never become this, because they control everything. This is not how to build a nation.